Hello, and welcome to the Empowerography Podcast. This is a platform created for women's voices to be heard and a place to share their stories, journeys, and successes with the world for the purpose of helping other women who might be on similar journeys. We are empowering women one episode at a time. I'm your host, Brad Walsh, so kick back, grab one of your favorite beverages, and enjoy the stories. Are you an author, speaker, coach, or entrepreneur building a brand in today's very crowded marketplace? How do you stand out? Join me on September 27th and share 97 minutes of your time for just $97 and learn how to empower your brand message and shine as a guest on podcasts. iHeart's doing it. Spotify's doing it. You should do it too. Join me and spend 97 minutes of your time for just $97. You can find the registry link in the show notes. Hope to see you there. Hello there, Brad Walsh here, your host of the Empowerography Podcast. Today, my guest is Danielle Hawthorne. She is the co-founder and CEO of Worthy of Dignity, a life and leadership coach, and a speaker. Welcome, Danielle. How are you?
I'm good today, Brad. Thank you so much for having me.
It is my honor and my pleasure. I am so happy and excited to have you here and to jump in and share a bit about your journey, your story, and the beautiful light you put out into the world through the work you do. So with that being said, let us get started.
Okay.
Now, that's a hell of a lot of hats and quite an extensive resume you have, Danielle. How do you find the time for all of this? And how do you prioritize? Also, how important is prioritization and organization for you?
Yeah, I'll start by saying I don't do it all at once. So I do wear a lot of hats, but I don't do it all at once. And absolutely prioritization and organization plays a huge part because I'm also a mom and a wife. And I'm grateful to have a huge support system and a very large community and team to support me in all of this amazing work that I get to do. And it really does help to have systems in place to be able to do the work, to help me maintain and keep everything moving. So I'm really grateful to have reached this season in my life where I'm not afraid to say, no, thank you, or this isn't for me, to really help me focus on the main thing and do things that really honor the work that I want to do, to keep my focus on the relationships that I want to be prioritizing in my life. And that's really where I'm at right now, is really focusing on relationships with my family, relationships with the people that I'm working with and serving right now. And so that's really how I do it all. I prioritize, I organize, and I focus on the main things.
I love it. Relationships are the key. They are the foundation for all that we do, whether it be entrepreneurship or life or whatever it is. Relationships are the foundation. That's the building blocks for who we are and what we do.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. And right now, my children are older, and so they're launching. I've got a young adult. I've got children in high school. And so when we think about relationships, or at least as I do, prioritizing those relationships are really key for me. And so I've actually adjusted my work in this season of life because those right now are the relationships that are most important to me. So making time for them are why I've shifted a lot of my work so that they have my undivided attention in this season. Yeah.
I love it. Beautiful. Now, with you wearing so many hats, Danielle, what does your morning routine look like?
So you might not believe it, but my mornings are actually really slow and quiet. Okay. I don't like waking up to loud alarms or sounds or noises. And my morning is really slow. My children are driving now. And so they get themselves off to work or to school rather. My husband gets himself off to work, and I spend a lot of my morning in quiet prayer and meditation and reviewing my day and really setting myself up success, and start my morning around 9, but it's really quiet around here. So that's how I start my morning. Calm,
Mama doesn't have to drive the kids to school and all that stuff anymore. Those days are behind you.
Yes. And they're probably grateful for me being able to start my morning a little slower too. Yeah.
Everybody benefits.
Yes, that's right.
Win, win, win.
It is. It is. It helps me be a better person, a better human, and a better mama.
What drives, motivates, and inspires you to keep going and excelling at all that you do, Danielle?
I think it's my desire to equip and resource others, specifically women and leaders. I mean, I can remember being a woman in my first role out of college and really experiencing microaggressions, but not having the language for it. And I kind of do this with my hands because that's really what it felt like, having these experiences right out of college in corporate America or in some of my first working environments, and not knowing what it was, but having this feeling in my gut and in my body, and not having the tools or knowing how to handle it or even knowing where to go, but knowing that something wasn't right. And I can also remember moments as a leader where I got it wrong and really hoping that I didn't crush the spirit of the person on my team due to my lack of experience or my lack of knowledge. And so for me, it's really my desire to take those things that I've learned along the way, those years of experience, and give people the language and the tools and resources that I didn't have in those early years and experience to be able to not harm people, or to be able to say, this is what I'm experiencing and this isn't okay. Or to be able to lead from a place of like dignity and humanity to say, this is who I am as a leader. And this is how I want to impact your life, because I now know who I am, and I can stand in my dignity and in my humanity and lead from a place of power and purpose, and be able to give you the gift to be able to walk in your power and purpose, and have you not walk through your career and your journey as an individual from a place of insecurity and not knowing. I can do that because I know who I am, and I don't have to worry about you stealing my job or stealing something that is already secure. When I'm secure in who I am, you're not a threat to me, right?
Yeah.
Because we're not competing. What's for me is for me. And so I can give you what you need so you can excel in your purpose and in your role. And you don't have to worry about experiencing microaggressions or harm or toxic work environment from me. I can give you what you need to be successful in who you are, because I'm leading and living and moving through this world from a place of confidence and security in who I am. And so that's really my desire for excelling in the work that I do.
That's what a good leader does, is lead by example, help your team, admit when you don't have all the answers, send the elevator back down. That's all of these things are exactly what a good leader does. And being able to admit when you're wrong or that you don't have all the answers is okay, because we don't have all the answers.
That's right. That's exactly right. Yeah. Yeah. And I love that. I love being able to do that for others.
Yeah. I would love to know, what were you doing for a living before making the jump into entrepreneurship, and what was the catalyst for you for that shift?
Yeah. So before I was in entrepreneurship, I served as a vice president of programs for a tech adjacent organization called Code 2040. And there we were responsible for dismantling systemic barriers for Black and Latinx young people out of college who were launching into their tech careers. Right. And in my role, I was responsible for all the programs, for some of the development work, as well as the community engagement for the organization. And so I was really helping young Black and Latinx individuals make the transition into those corporate settings, and at the same time working with those companies to dismantle the barriers that existed in their organizations that were historically and traditionally preventing them from entering their companies. So things like inequitable testing systems, things that kept them from staying. So retention was a big issue and is a big issue in tech companies, things that prevented them from getting promotions and in seats in leadership roles in tech companies. And so I was working with those tech companies to not only identify them, but to help fix those systemic issues that existed within tech companies that prevented Black and Latinx folks from entering, from staying, and from excelling in there. And so that's the work that I did. And I think the catalyst for the shift for me was really a lot of what I talked about before. It was the recognition that my children were growing and I wanted to be more present for them. It was the pandemic, but it was also me experiencing like burnout in my work there, and really identifying, Danielle, what is it that you want for yourself? What do you want to do? What is the thing that lights you up, keeps you up at night, wakes you up in the middle of the night, fires you up throughout the day, and really needed to make some decisions. It was a really tough work environment. We were under-resourced, we were understaffed, and I was holding a lot more responsibility than I needed to, than I wanted to, than I should have, and was really burnt out. And so I needed to make some decisions for myself, for my personal health and mental health, and made the decision to step out of that role and do work that really fueled my passion and joy. And this is
lit you up.
It lit me. It lights me up to work with leaders. It really does.
That's what we all need to find in this life. We're only here for a short time, and finding that thing that sets your soul on fire, that you're excited, as you said, it wakes you up at night because you're so excited and you're thinking about all the things you can do. That's what we all need, is that passion and finding that thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is that thing. It really is.
I love it. Yeah, I want to jump in and discuss a little bit about your coaching journey. A lot of the women that I've spoken to who are now coaches, I mean, we've all been through our personal struggles. We've all had our own journeys, but the women that I've spoken with that are coaches, there was something particular that was a catalyst for them that shifted them into the coaching world. So I'd love for you to share a little bit about, is there one of those catalyst moments for you that shifted you into that coaching world, and what was it?
Yeah, I think there's a couple. There was a moment when I was in the previous work environment where I was working with a coach, and there was a moment where they were coaching me around a challenge that I was navigating, and they held me with such high regard. You know what I mean? There was a moment where I was asking them as I was navigating a challenging moment, and the high regard with which they held me was so telling, right? They weren't beholden to, what I'll say is, because of confidentiality, but what I'll say is the care that they held for me and the high regard that they held for me, let me know that they were concerned about me. You know what I mean? And that just meant so much to me. And so that was a moment for me where I was like, oh, there is a space where we can just care for people, right? And we can just love on people. And that just meant so much to me as a person who was being cared for and loved on by someone who could have said anything, right? They could have told me anything and I wouldn't have known the difference, but they took a moment in this time that we had to just speak directly to me, to see me in the midst of a really challenging situation and just say, I just want to speak to the heart of this matter as it pertains to you. Not with anything else in mind, but just to you. And I think that was one of the moments. And I think the other one was, as a leader, I was in a situation where I got to do the same for someone else, right? I think in positions of leadership, we have power, we have positional power, and we can choose to use that positional power to help people, or we can just be really complacent with that positional power. And I have always chosen to build relationships with people on my teams. And I have some really deep friendships as a result of that. And I've always loved that I can build relationships with them. And I actually have some of my most longstanding relationships, and some of my best friends today are because of the working relationships that I've built with people, or people who worked with me and on my teams. Like my best friend to date is someone who worked with me. We've been best friends for 18 years now. You know what I mean? And so it has always been my desire to build connection and relationship with people. And I think in those settings, I've chosen to do that. And I've chosen to see people for who they are. And that to me has always felt good. And I love story. And I think that's the other thing that I love about being a coach, is being able to be with someone in their story and to help navigate life with them through their story, and not see it as just a transactional relationship, but as an opportunity to be with them and not just see them as a problem or as an opportunity to network or meet this next person or get to this next opportunity, but to actually journey with them. And I think it's because I've always had someone in my life who's done the same for me. And it's always been so impactful when others have done it for me that I've delighted in the opportunity to do that for someone else. And so I think those are two examples of when I've benefited from someone doing that to me, and how I've always truly, truly enjoyed being a part of someone else in their journey and in their story as well.
Connection. It's like I said, it's the key. Really relationships and connection is everything.
Yeah.
How have these experiences then helped you become the Danielle you are today, both personally and professionally?
Yeah, I think that's it. I mean, I've been through a number of experiences in our life, and it's the story and the relationship, right? And I've always said this, people, I think, have been drawn to me because I am truly transparent about the experiences I've had in my life. I've been divorced and remarried. I've been a single mom. I have had health scares where I've had a tumor removed from my skull. You know what I mean? I've been fired. I've transformed my life so many times, and I've been able to connect with who people are and see them because of their stories, because I've been so transparent with mine. And you can't shame me because of the life experiences I've been through.
Yeah.
Like, you can't use that over me as a way to put me down, but I've been able to use that to connect with people. Like, what you've been through that? Oh my gosh, I know how that feels. I truly know what it feels like to endure pain and suffering in my life. And right, there's no period there.
Yeah.
There's a comma, because we can pick ourselves up and move through life to get to the other side of pain, to experience joy, to experience happiness, to experience peace, to get to what we want in our lives. And so I've used the stories in my life not as a way to minimize the experiences that others have gone through, but as a way to connect with them in their moments of pain and suffering, and to journey through that to get to where we wanted to be.
Stories are what connect us all.
It
That's
really
how
is.
we relate to one another. That's
Yes.
relatability. They are the
Yes.
fabric of society.
Mm-hmm.
We need to share our stories, and we all have a story.
And I think professionally, I'm also not afraid to connect with people there too. And I think sometimes we are, because we feel like we have our work life and our personal life. And I don't necessarily believe that's true. I am Danielle. You know what I mean? I'm
Yeah.
Danielle every single where I go. And certainly I don't want to minimize the fact that there is a risk for women of color and people of color to be themselves, their whole authentic selves in their workspaces. That is absolutely there. And we need to use caution with how open we choose to be at work. And so I absolutely do that. But as it is appropriate, I choose to connect with people authentically and genuinely through my life experiences. And I'm the same Danielle at home as I am at work. And I choose to connect with people that way.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
What has been the biggest or most valuable takeaway for you through these experiences, would you say?
Yeah, it's a quote actually, and it's one that I've really been leaning into with my daughters lately. And the quote is, "Your value doesn't decrease based on someone's inability to see your worth." And I've really been trying to, it's not always easy to remember, especially in a society that for me as a Black woman that works really hard not to see my value sometimes. When I've been in spaces, especially professional spaces, where my value has not been seen or has been minimized or has been overlooked. But that quote has really helped me to continue to push forward and work really hard to make sure I remember my value, right? And I go home at the end of the day remembering who I am. But my value doesn't decrease based on someone's inability to see it. I know who I am. I know I bring the table. I bring the supplies to build the table to every space that I enter, right? I elevate every space that I enter. And that's the value that I bring. And it doesn't decrease because someone doesn't choose to see it.
That's a powerful quote.
Yeah. And so I think that's the biggest value and takeaway that I've learned over the years.
You don't bring to the table, you bring the supplies to build the table.
That's
I love
right.
it. That little distinction there.
That's right. That's right.
What led you to focus your journey as a thought leader who specializes in racial equality and diversity?
Yeah, I think my work experience, my life experiences in particular, I was one of those folks that had my foot in both spaces. Growing up in Compton, Carson, California, predominantly Black spaces, but then going to school in Orange County, California, predominantly white spaces. Those were tough to navigate for a kid, like constantly having to navigate how to live in both spaces. And then similarly working in spaces that were kind of like that. I was a minister and a pastor for nearly 15 years, 15 plus years by vocation. And then went into Code 2040, which was a space that focused on racial equity and dismantling systemic barriers, where we broke down those systemic barriers, rather. I think that really was the catalyst for me really saying, this is the thing I want to be focusing on. And then I think there was a pivotal point. My daughter went into high school her first year and had these racist incidents happen on our high school campus. And there was this moment where I was like, gosh, this was like my experience in high school really coming back full circle, and my daughter having to experience that and having to see her come home in tears because she just had no clue what was happening around her. And so I think that was the catalyst for me, just really remembering like there's still so much work to be done. You know what I mean? Here in this space, in our world, in our country, the work isn't finished, and we need to continue to speak out and speak up and continue
the world over, not just US, it's everywhere. And it needs to change. And this has been going on for so long. It's time to let's continue to get the wheels moving, and let's continue to make bigger strides, bigger changes.
Yeah. And to be clear, I was doing the work. I think I was just doing it in a smaller nucleus of just like my community, you know what I mean? With how we do we're talking to our kids, we're talking to our friends, we're talking to the people that we know. And I think when she came home, having had that happen on her school campus, I was like, no, I need to broaden my circle. Right. I need to broaden my reach of who I am talking about this with. I need to be louder about this conversation. And I think that was the catalyst for me saying this needs to be a larger focus in my life and in the conversations that I'm happening with the people around me.
Yeah. But it has to start at that community level.
Absolutely.
And then it broadens out to society and the world, like, and it just keeps growing and growing, but it has to start there at home with the community. For sure. Yeah. That's the kicking off or the jumping off point.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
What are some of the greatest challenges you've encountered in coaching leaders to navigate issues of racial diversity and inclusion?
Yeah, I think, let me take a beat on this one. Some of the greatest challenges I've encountered in coaching leaders, I would say the people I work with who come to me wanting to do the work, and the challenges I face are the systems that they are often working in and under, right? They're trying to lead people well, but in broken systems, right? They're struggling because what they know about leadership says that they need to lead a certain way to be successful. And they're perpetuating the same harms that are imposed on them and so many others and they are continuing the cycle of harm because that's what they know. And they know that in order to be successful, they have to continue to do these things, right? They have to continue the cycle of harm. And so I think that's what's most challenging is like we as a society have established that success has to look like this. And in order to reach the upper echelons of leadership and success, you can't do it in ways that take care of people, right? That hold people in high regard, that it has to look like this. And that pathway harms people. That pathway perpetuates systems of racism and misogyny and sexism and all these things that are really harmful to people. And so I get leaders that come to me and they're like, I hear what you're saying, Danielle, and that all sounds really good. But if I do that, I'll lose my job. Or if I do that, I won't be promoted to the next level of leadership. And so turning the buffalo herd, in essence, is the challenge, helping people to see that in order for us to dismantle the systems of racism, we have to start to lead differently. We have to start seeing people as human beings. We have to start to implement the change that we want to see in the world. And it may mean that we aren't, right, getting the promotion. We aren't going to get the raise, but someone's got to do it.
Someone's got to make the sacrifices.
Someone's got to, yes.
I love that you said that the systems are broken, because this made me think of a conversation I had a little while ago where one of my guests, we were talking about in particular the healthcare system in both US and Canada and the education system. And I said to her, those systems are so broken. We need to change them. And she said, hold on a second. Think about this for a minute. They aren't broken. They are working exactly the way they were created to work. So what we need to do is dismantle them and start over again. They're not broken. They are not broken at all. They're working how they were made to work. So taking that perspective on it, I think we just need to, as you said, to use your word, dismantle these systems, all of them, healthcare, education, all of these things, the entrepreneurial world, like the corporate world, all of these things, they need to change. We need to start from the ground and rebuild them. And create what is meant to be. Because if we've learned nothing else from the past 3.5 years, we can do things differently.
It's
okay to do things differently. We don't have to do them the way they've been done for decades and decades. It's time to change. It's time for a change. And I think that people around the world are craving that change.
And you're absolutely correct. They are operating as they are designed. I think when you talk about that, though, people kind of back away and they don't know how to handle that conversation. And so I say broken, but you're right. They are operating as they were designed. And so you do have to dismantle the entire system and rebuild something new. And it's really hard for people to imagine what that could look like. But that is exactly the answer. There is nothing written. There's nothing new designed. And so it's really hard for people to imagine what that new could look like. But that is exactly the answer. And I don't buy that it can't be done or it can't happen.
It can be done. Of course
it can be done. It can be happen. And one person can start. And I don't think that's an excuse to not do the work. You know what I mean? I think it's part of the reason why I stepped out of a lot of the work that I had been doing before. It's one of the reasons I stepped out of the ministry work that I was doing, because I was not willing to continue to stay in a system of harm.
This is just the way it is. We can't change it. Yes, you can. Get out of that mindset. We can change it.
Absolutely can. You can. And I will.
It takes work. Yes, absolutely.
It absolutely takes work. Yes.
But as you also said that when we work together as a collective, our voices are louder. We have more people. The work will get done. It takes people. It takes a team. It's as they say, it takes a village, right? To raise a kid. Same thing.
Yes. Yes.
We need to shift our perspective.
Yes.
Is what needs to happen.
I agree. We do need to shift our perspective, and we need to work on figuring out what equitable systems look like and start to build that, even if it takes us a few different tries.
Yeah, exactly. Failure is giving up.
Yeah. Yeah.
We need to keep going.
We do. Right.
How do you define leadership in the context of fostering diversity and racial equality within organizations?
Yeah, I sat and thought about this one because I was like, oh, wow, Brad, coming in with the hard questions. It's interesting because I think leaders are on the forefront of really supporting culture that I think is built by the people in the organization, right? And I think leadership can foster what is built, and it sets the value for the organization. And I think leader really does impart into the DNA of the organization what the employees define as its culture. But I think the leadership of the organization can really set the tone and say, this is who we are, and this is how we're going to move forward, and this is what is acceptable, and this is what we will do moving forward as the organization. And so I think the leadership of the organization can really say, this is who we are going to be. But the culture is what is, I think, is built by the employees. The employees come in and say, I think this is who we can be, and this is who we are as the organization. And then leadership moves forward with that. And so it's difficult to kind of explain, but I think that's how it can move forward and be fostered and shift. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Can you discuss the importance of having courageous conversations about race and diversity in leadership, and how can leaders effectively initiate and navigate these dialogues, these conversations?
Yeah, I think what I can speak to is how I've done them and tools that I share with clients on how to do it. I think courageous conversations have to be scaffolded through intentions, agreements, and relationships, like I've said before. And I think that means the desire to be in courageous conversations have to be there. I think oftentimes we talk about, and we use these words, courageous conversations and brave discussions. But if the other person isn't willing to be in those conversations or isn't willing to be open and honest, they don't happen. And so I think they're incredibly important, but I think there has to be a willingness on both parties' parts. And I think once the willingness is there, they're incredibly effective. And I think that's how we begin to initiate them. There has to be agreements on both sides about how they're going to operate. I think the intention setting needs to be there about what are our intentions for being in this conversation. And then what do you want to bring to the conversation? My intentions for being in this conversation are, and then what do I want out of the conversation? This is what I want out of this conversation. And then how am I going to contribute to this? If this is what I want out of it, what am I going to bring to it to get that out of it? Am I going to continue to bring my heart and heart? Or am I going to bring listening ears and an open mind and a willingness to learn and have ears to hear something that I may not have heard before. And so I think those are the makings of a healthy, courageous conversation.
I say this all the time, and it's true. Conversations are the catalyst for change. If we don't talk about these difficult things or have these courageous conversations or difficult conversations, nothing's going to change. And you have to go into the conversations with open ears. We have two ears and one mouth for a reason.
For a reason, yeah.
Yeah, we have to go into them with an open heart and an open mind, because you may walk away from that conversation with a completely different perspective you never even considered or thought of. And it's not necessarily going into the conversation to change the people's minds, to change your opinion. Or I can't go into a conversation with you and say, I'm going to change Danielle's outlook. I'm going to change her mind on the way she thinks about things. No, be open to listen to what Danielle has to say and walk away from it, digest it, take it in, and then come back and say, hey, you showed me this. I never thought about this.
Yeah.
And that's how it's going to move forward.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm reading a really good book right now called How to Human by Carlos Whitaker. And it talks about being able to see people beyond the things that divide us. And one of the things he talks about is seeing people, right? Like truly seeing people beyond their issue or the thing that they are standing on. And when we talk about courageous conversations, I think that's one of the things that we have to be willing to do is see their story, see their life experience, see the thing that brought them to this moment that may be causing them to believe the way they do or to stand on the issue or the value that they're standing on to help you better understand why they're there. You know what I mean? And I think as we're going into an election year, it's going to be really, it can be rather really important as we sit and engage in what can be contentious conversations with people, right? And when we think about courageous conversations, they're often brought on by tenuous moments, right? That lead us to the opportunity that we find ourselves to sit in courageous conversations. We're not sitting in courageous conversations because we disagree on the flavor of our favorite ice creams, right? We're sitting in courageous conversations over really tough things. And so my offering is that we see beyond the issue that brought us to the table and look at story, look at experiences, to look for connection, to look for common ground. And I'm saying this to myself also because oftentimes it can be really hard to see beyond the thing that I am disagreeing with the person about. Or in contention with the person about. It is very tough. It's very tough. But if my intention and my heart is postured to see them, I have found that there is an opportunity there.
There you go. In your opinion, what roles do accountability and action play in driving meaningful change towards racial equality within organizations? And how do you support leaders in taking tangible steps forward?
Yeah. So I think they make the difference between doing what you say and simply being performative. Action and accountability are the evidence of what you say you're going to do versus what you're actually doing. I support leaders by coaching them to get clear on what it is they want, why they want it, their role in that vision, and drafting a plan of action that helps them move towards the change they're seeking. And so I think that's the difference. I think that's the thing that I do is I really do support leaders in defining what it is they want to do, how they want to do it, and the action that helps them move towards what it is that they want to do.
Steps they need to take.
The actual steps they need to take. It's so action is the doing and accountability is how, what's the plan that is going to get us there.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah.
In your experience, then, what strategies have been most effective in sustaining momentum and commitment to diversity inclusion initiatives over the long term?
Yeah. So I think the key word in your question is sustaining. We are seeing companies all over, not just the country, but in the world, rescind and retract in droves on their commitments that they've made to diversity and inclusion efforts. And so I think the question you're asking is a really good one. And that being said, what it tells us, though, is that there's no carrot that can be dangled in front of companies to do the right thing, right? They either have to want to do the right thing because it's the right thing to do when it comes to seeing and valuing people, right?
Not just because it's a metric or something that needs to be done just for appearances.
or because they feel like it's going to drive their profit margins, right?
Which
The
is usually the
value-
case.
Exactly. The strategy is intention, actionable goals, and accountability through internal and external intrinsic values. And I hope what we start to see is that companies who desire to create a culture and environment where companies that are, where communities that are pushed to the margin are not only seen in these companies, but recruited, promoted, and have a deciding voice on their leadership teams, do the work to actually get them there, right? So it's not just these performative actions that we're seeing that I talked about before, but it's a value for people that begins to drive companies to sustain over the life of their companies, the goals that they set out to do regarding diversity and inclusion for communities that have been pushed to the margin, not because it's just trendy to do right now. And I use that word because that's the words that's out there. Diversity, equity, inclusion has been around for decades. And I want to be clear about that because we're hearing in the atmosphere that it's trendy and it's only been around since like 2020, 2018. That is not true. That's far from the truth. It has been around. It has been in companies for years and years. And the value and the importance of valuing employees of color and people of color in companies has always been around. It has always been a priority to see people and to see people of color and the culture and value add that they have in your organization. That's always been a need. I would love to see companies start cashing in, not cashing in as in dollars, but like honoring the promises that they've made in that way.
It's needed in the world, not just corporations. I mean,
absolutely.
I don't know. I think back to when I was a kid, and in my neighborhood, we had kids of all colors, races, and diverse. We didn't see color. This is my friend. This is why it's so simple, yet people get, and listen, racism is, kids aren't born racist. They are taught. It is a learned behavior, and we need to change that. Because if we change that at that level, when kids are born and just instill that into our children, they only know that going forward. How different would things be in this world?
Absolutely.
On all levels. Community, corporations, all of it in the world in general. It'd be huge.
Yes.
And that's where we need to start.
Yeah.
It's a very simple concept. I mean, really, it is when you think about it. We love each other, love people, meet people where they're at just for who they are. Who cares what color their skin is? Who cares what religion they practice? Who cares where they were born, what race they are? It doesn't, none of it matters because we all come into this world the same way and we all leave the world the same way. We all bleed the same color. So let's get rid of the bullshit and just get along with each other and make the world a better place.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think I hear that and I would beg to differ. And I would say it matters, right? Because it adds value, right? Where I was born and the culture that I bring to your organization matters because it adds perspective and it adds color to the experience. It adds color to the products that you are creating in your organization, and everybody's culture and experience adds value to the work that we do. And it's not something that we can overlook or should overlook. And so for that reason, it does matter. And I know, and I get the sentiment that you are saying that with, but I think when we
I'm not saying it doesn't matter in the world. I'm saying I know. It doesn't, like, we need to just put that crap aside when we're talking on a human level, human experience level. I shouldn't have anger or hate towards someone just because of the color of their skin. That's what I mean about that whole thing, that it doesn't matter. Of course it matters because you're right. Our experiences bring different viewpoints, different perspectives. Our culture brings different perspectives, all of these things, right? So we need that for sure.
Yes. Yes. But we should not be judged or held back or looked at differently because of it. Yes. Yes.
Exactly. It's things need to be disassembled or crumbled or burned to the ground and started again. We need to start over. And we can do it. As we said earlier, it can be done. None of this, we can't do that. We can't do things that way. Why can't? Who says? Who says we can't? You?
Yeah.
No. Come on, let's try something different for a change.
Yeah. And we have to.
Yeah,
if we're going to survive, we absolutely have to.
1000%.
Yeah. And the beauty of it is I see it coming. I see the change coming. I see
the wheels are
change
coming
coming.
off the bus, Danielle.
Yes, it is. So it's been
it.
so exciting to watch our young people like rally around the initiatives that they are passionate about and in protests. And so it's been exciting, regardless of what it is, to see them be passionate and come out and use their voices. The wheels are going to come off and we are going to see change happen. And so I'm excited about the future.
Yes, for sure.
Yes.
How can leaders create safe spaces for employees to express themselves authentically and share their experiences without fear of judgment or reprisal?
Yeah, it's really hard because the data shows that for many people of color, the workplace isn't a safe place for them. There are so many studies and reports out there that have been published that shows that it isn't safe. And so I think the thing that I am seeing and hearing about is the ways in which that ERGs, employee resource groups, are popping up to provide opportunities for safe spaces for people of color and employees to come together to create opportunities for their voices to be heard. And so I think that is a safe space for employees to express themselves authentically and share experiences in containers within organizations that support them expressing themselves and their voices. I think other opportunities are through allies and advocates within the organization that can speak up for them and on their behalf. One of the things that I have heard and have always said is if you have power, you step back and make power for someone who doesn't, right? If you don't have power, that's an opportunity for you to step up and take up space, right?
Yeah.
And so those are some ways in which folks who can take up space and make space for people in their organization to feel safer. And if you are someone in your organization who has positional power or leadership power, I think a big question you can be asking yourself is, where can you be making space for someone in your organization who doesn't have power to feel safer in your organization, for their voice to be heard, for their work to be seen, right? Where can you be coming alongside as a sponsor or mentor in your organization to make your workspace safer for someone else? And their accomplishments and achievements to be seen in your organization. And if you are someone in an organization where you aren't feeling safe, is there somewhere where you can go to seek safety? Is there an employee resource group? Is there an ally or advocate? Is there someone you can ask for sponsorship to help that happen for you? And I know it's hard. It's not easy at all. But those are some of the things that come to mind and some of the ways in which we have supported people through our work. And I have supported people in workspaces that I've been a part of.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
Sure.
What is your vision for the future of leadership in fostering racial equality and diversity? And what steps do you believe are necessary to take to realize this vision?
Yeah, I think leaders have a unique opportunity. And I think leaders, first and foremost, have to believe that every person is worthy of dignity, value, and respect. And that requires confronting the bias and assumptions that we have without thinking about it. And the truth is, we don't do that. We have to confront the hierarchy that we assign to certain positions and address our biases that tell us that this group of people or this person is more deserving of this title or role simply because of the bias that we hold that prevents us from seeing them as skilled, qualified, or deserving human beings. And oftentimes we don't do that as leaders. And I think as companies and organizations, we have to really take a step back and think about how we assign leadership roles. Oftentimes we do that simply based on skill, and we don't look at the why behind or the soft skills that come with leadership roles. And we need to, right? Yeah. Is this person human and heart-centered? Meaning, do they have the compassion necessary to be in a leadership role, to journey with people in the relationship needed to be a leader? Can they treat the people on their team with human decency and dignity? Or are they just looking at getting the work done? That's not enough when it comes to being a leader, right? Leadership is a responsibility. It's not a launching pad for your personal career, but oftentimes that's how we promote people, right? Yep. Oh, they did a good job on this project. You know what I mean? They met a sales goal, and so they should be promoted. But what we also know to be true is leaders harm people at incredible rates, right? And so we really need to take a step back and think about how we are assigning leadership roles within our organization. And I think that is pivotal to reducing harm in the workplace and toxic workplace environments as well.
I was just having a conversation with someone earlier today, and we're talking about leadership and how a big part of it, she believes that 80% of it is all within here. It's the heart-centered, as you said, being a good human, all of these things. 20% of it is skill set. Anyone can learn anything.
That's right.
That's the easy part.
Yeah.
This part, that's the hard part. Is the internal stuff, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we need to shift the way we look at things, the perspective.
Yeah.
And that will change everything.
Yes.
We need to bring more people on board with that.
Yes. I'm working on it, Brad. I'm working on it.
I know you are. What's the process in your mind that best supports leadership development?
Oh, I think it's personal development and transformation. I think every single person should continue to do the personal development and journey work necessary to transform into being a better human being. I think there are always going to be tools and resources that will help us hone our craft in our individual industry of work. But I think the growth work as humans and as individuals only benefits us. And I encourage others by doing it myself, but also sharing what I learn through conversation. It often piques the interest of someone I'm speaking with, and they end up asking more about books, articles, videos, and things that I'm reading. And I'm always happy to share it with them. And so I think that personal work is critical. Yeah.
For sure. Agreed. 100%. What is one tip or takeaway that you could provide that listeners can implement immediately to start stepping into and embracing their inner leader and owning that?
Yeah. Successful leaders, in my opinion, lead with curiosity. And so I'd say an immediate step you can implement to embrace your inner leader is to be curious. Ask open-ended questions like, can you tell me more? Or I'd love to hear more on your thoughts. You know what I mean? Or anything that gives people around you the opportunity to share more about who they are, how they think, why they think the way that they do. I think being curious can give you amazing insight into the folks around you and what they think so that you can continue to learn more about yourself and more about others.
Love it. Thank you for sharing that. Now, as mentioned previously, you are the co-founder and CEO of Worthy of Dignity. Can you please share with us what Worthy of Dignity is all about, what the mission is when the company was co-founded or founded, and what the inspiration was behind starting it?
Yeah. So Worthy of Dignity is a leadership and consulting firm, and we specialize in a lot of the work that we've been talking about today, which is helping leaders to do the development and transformation work so that they can be human and heart-centered leaders. I absolutely believe that leaders need to do the work of identifying who they are, because it absolutely impacts how they lead others around them and how that impacts the work that the people around them do in not just the companies that they work in, but in the lives that they touch outside of their companies as well. And so we work with leaders to identify who they are first and how that impacts the people that they serve and the people that they lead in the companies around them. And so we do that through one-on-one coaching. We have programs that we offer. We do mentoring. I, of course, do some speaking engagements as well. And I'm happy to come to your organization to do speaking or speak at your event. But that's the work that we do. And then we also work with folks who have been harmed by workforce trauma. I personally know what that feels like. And so we sit with you and we do the work to help you heal from that, to help you reground in your worth, in your dignity, identify again who you are, your purpose and your power to live intentional, purposeful, powerful lives after that trauma. And so that's the work that we do at Worthy of Dignity. The company was founded last fall, and the inspiration behind starting it was just based on my own life experience, as I've shared throughout this podcast. I love story, and my life experiences have brought me to this moment, and sharing my story with so many other women and helping them in their journey has just really been the catalyst for why we built this company. And hearing the stories of others, my passion has really just been to give women and leaders the tools that they've needed to not just survive, but to thrive in their lives as employees and individual contributors in the workplace, but also as leaders who lead others. I want leaders to be heart and human-centered leaders who know who they are and can lead others from a place of worth and dignity as well.
We need more of that in the world. That's for damn sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what are the long-term goals for Worthy of Dignity, and where
Yeah.
do you want to take the organization? Where do you see it going? What's your
Yeah.
vision?
Yeah, absolutely. My long-term goals are to change the conversation among women and women of color in particular about their work and leadership experiences. A lot of our coaching work right now is focused on helping folks heal and recover and be reminded of their worth and value as a result of harm, burnout, exhaustion, toxic work environments. But part of why I'm so passionate about working with leaders is because I want to support them in their growth and development and transformation to lead from a place of worth so they can see people and lead them as worthy, deserving of dignity and respect, and then lead from that place. And so my hope is that not only will our experience with our leaders change as a result of this work, but our work culture will change as well. And so I've created some training materials and some programs where we can help people do just that. I had a manager that was instrumental in my growth, and I've had managers that were not. And I think we remember the ones that weren't, right? Mm-hmm. We remember the people who have managed us poorly, and they are imprinted on our hearts because of the experiences that we've had. And in as much as it depends on me, I want leaders who imprint our hearts because of the good work they've done in our lives and not leave scars on us. And so that's my mission.
That shift, that little shift.
That's right.
Who in your life has had the biggest impact on you, Danielle, and why?
Yeah, I've been thinking about this question. And so when you asked me today, the first person that came to mind was my daughters. And I think I still get emotional when asked about them. And I think it's because they have just been the driving force in so much of my life. I spent the majority of my time raising them as a single mom. And my oldest daughter is about to graduate from college on Saturday. And raising them as a single mom has just been the catalyst for so much of why I do what I do. And I just really want them to experience this world as young women of color so differently than what I did. I want them to have the tools and the resources and the knowledge to navigate their work experience in a way where they are informed and educated and can see and experience people from a place of worth and dignity. I want them to be leaders who see people and who lead people from a place of humanity. And I want their experience in the workplace to be from a place of power and purpose and intention. I want them to see bad managers come in and know how to handle them. And I want them to see good managers and know how to interact with them to leverage their career. And so I think my girls have been the biggest impact on me because they have helped me to see the world as a learning experience and as a handbook to leave behind for them.
I love it. Congratulations to your daughter on graduating. That's huge.
Thank you so much.
And congratulations to you.
Thank you. I'm going to take that because that was
part of that journey all the way through.
Yeah, I have been. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
What do you think your unique skill set or superpower is that's helped you become successful?
I've been told that I can genuinely and authentically relate to people in a way that builds trust with them, that I can be with them and it feels transparent and it doesn't feel manufactured, that they can relate to me and my stories and that they feel seen and heard and listened to. And that feels good.
We all just want to be seen and heard.
Yeah. Thank you.
Speaking of success, how do you define that word? What does the word success mean to you?
In this season of my life, it is time with my family, specifically, like I told you before, my teens and young adults. So having dinner 4 nights out of the week with all of us around the table, that is success these days.
That's beautiful.
Yes. Thank you.
What would you say is one of the most important things you've learned in your life? And what was your life like before you learned it? What was your life like after learning it?
I think the most important thing I've learned in my life at this point is that I am worthy. Before I learned it, I can remember actually like trying to fit into everybody else's definition of what they wanted for my life. And today it is slow mornings.
Love it.
Yeah.
What does the word empowerment mean to you?
Empowerment to me means the process of coming into my power and authority. And I think what resonates with me the most is that it's a process, right? And it implies growth and learning and maturity. and the power that comes with that process. And I think that's why I love that word so much. It's not all there, right? It's a process, and you get to grow and mature as a part of that process. And there's something really beautiful about it being a process and you gathering experience and maturity along the way and you growing in that process. Yeah.
And we're always growing and expanding because we are human beings. We're constantly growing, evolving, expanding. That's all part of the journey.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, we're going to jump into a little rapid fire section here. So the next grouping of questions just be 1, 2, 3, 4-word answer type thing. Okay.
Okay.
How would you describe yourself in one word?
Okay. So yesterday was Mother's Day and my 17-year-old said wise.
All right. If you could teach the world one thing, what would it be?
Empathy.
If you could be remembered for one thing, what would that be?
Oh, I want to be remembered by my family as being present and caring and there for them. Yeah.
What is your favorite self-care practice?
Oh, I just posted about this. It is sitting in my car because it's warm and it's cozy and there are always snacks in the glove compartment.
That's a good reason. You gotta have snacks.
Yeah.
What is one thing you love about yourself that is not related to your physical appearance?
We talked about this a little bit earlier, but I love that I'm a planner and an organizer. And it's really one way that I love on my family. Like I love taking care of the logistics so that they can fully experience the thing. Like I take care of the roadblocks so that it's all done and they can enjoy and immerse in the experience. Okay. I love that about me.
If you came with a warning label, what would yours say?
Handle with care, but not for the reasons you think. Black women don't get the benefit of the full expanse of their emotions. So mine would say fragile, handle with care, because I can be the piece of china in your grandma's china cabinet or the explosive bomb that you trip at a moment's notice. I want the benefit of being the full expanse of my emotions. And so handle me with care, handle me with the care that I deserve, and allow me to have the full expanse of my emotions because I deserve that. And I'm choosing to live my life living with all of the emotions that life and the human experience has to offer.
Beautifully said. That concludes our rapid fire section. Now back to our regularly scheduled program.
Okay.
I created a question after I sent you the question. So this one you haven't seen yet. I call it my bonus question.
Sure.
If you could take one feeling or one belief and bottle it and give it to people, what would it be?
One feeling or one belief and bottle it and give it to people. What would it be? Ooh. And half of the population can experience this, but the other half cannot. And so I would want the other half to experience childbirth, like the experience of carrying a child and giving birth. It's such a beautiful experience. I think men should be able to experience that.
All right. What challenge?
Or non-birthing individuals. Yeah.
Yeah. What challenge in your life has shaped you the most?
This probably won't be hard to guess, but motherhood.
Yes. Yeah. Parenthood.
Yes. Parenthood.
Yes.
Right.
That is a huge challenge and test and all of the things.
Yeah.
What's one lesson your career has taught you that you think everybody should learn at some point in their life?
Who you are and what you want.
Okay.
Like just take the time to get clear on who you are and what you want. Because if you don't, everybody else will tell you. Everybody else will tell you and define it for you.
Very wise words.
Yes.
If you could step into my shoes, what question would you have asked yourself that I didn't ask you?
I think maybe you should ask me my favorite type of food. I'm not sure.
All right.
Just
What's your
for
favorite
fun.
type of food?
Yeah. I think my favorite type of food it's Mexican food.
Okay.
I love a good taco.
All right. If you had the opportunity to sit down and have a 1-hour conversation with one woman, any woman in the world, who would it be and why?
These days, I am fangirling Bozoma St. John.
Okay. And
yes.
why? Why would you want to talk with her?
Yeah. Her story and her book, The Urgent Life, and just the way she is navigating her life and carrying her life these days is just fascinating. And I am absolutely drawn to not just the urgency with which she's living her life, but the boldness with which she's living her life. And so I would love to just sit and have a 1-hour conversation and hopefully learn some more from her.
If you could go back and give your younger self one piece of advice, what would that piece of advice be?
It'd be to trust yourself. You've got this.
Okay. Lastly, Danielle, if you were to deliver your last 30-second speech to the world, your corner of the world, your tribe, your people, what would that last 30 seconds sound like? What words of wisdom would you impart?
Okay. I think the thing that I would say is, this is actually what I do tell people. You are worthy. You have everything you need to live this life, to move through it. And so I just want to encourage you to do it. I'm here to support you. I'm here to cheer you on, but know that you are worthy. You are worthy of rest. You are worthy of joy. You are worthy of abundance. You are worthy of all the experiences that this life has to offer. And I want you to live in that truth and to move through this life like you own it, because this life is yours for the taking.
Beautifully said. Wonderful way to end the interview. Danielle, thank you so much for taking and making the time to be here with me today, for sharing a bit about your story, your journey, your experiences, and the beautiful light you put out into the world through the work you're doing. It is an absolute honor to sit down and speak with you. I'm grateful to call you a friend and to have you as a member of the Empowerography community. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brad. This has been a joy as well. I appreciate you and the beautiful light that you shed on all of the incredible women that you spend time with. So thank you.
Thank you. I received that. Once again, my name is Brad Welsh, host of your Empowerography podcast. Today, my guest has been Danielle Hawthorne. She is the co-founder and CEO of Worthy of Dignity, a life and leadership coach, a speaker, and last but certainly not least, a mother. Thank you so much, Danielle. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you very much for listening to this podcast. If you haven't yet, please be sure to subscribe, rate, review, and share with all your friends. You can find me at visuphoria.ca. Follow me on Instagram at Empowerography Podcast and on Facebook at Empowerography. Please join me next time for another inspirational story from yet another amazing woman.